So, it's a lot of people that have to sit there and watch their time go by, which they don't have to do that, but that's what's taking place. And I've been guilty of that as well. So, like, if we look at Proverbs 24, verse 32-34, I think that's it. And it says, I'm just going to paraphrase, and it speaks on how a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands, so shall, I think poverty will come upon you. And it's just saying how the more you get comfortable and the more you relax, time passed by and you ain't made no progress, And the reason I wanted to speak on this because I was talking to a coworker, and we was all parked, waiting for work. We went out of town, actually out of town now, and we was waiting like days, and he saw me exercising, and he was saying how he want to get like that, and how he didn't gain 60 pounds or so much weight since he been in the truck and ain't really been doing nothing. And I was telling him how you could start off with something like for me, it might seem like it really ain't a lot, but I was telling him how, you start off just doing yourself at 10 push-ups a day, or just, whatever, start off light, so you won't feel like, I got to get up and I got to do these 100 push-ups, or I got to walk these 2 miles. So give yourself something easy, because it ain't even about so much so what you do. It's about getting your mind set or in the rhythm of doing something, because once you do it, it's going to come to you. You're going to find it easier. It's just that initial start and the process. Anyway, this ain't about exercise, but what I want to speak on, how the scriptures speak on this, how I'm gonna get the scripture. Actually, it's the same scripture. It's I think Proverbs 24, 30 through 34. But one of them speaks how I forgot how it goes. But it basically saying, like what I said a while ago, basically how I think it's the second 32, 31, or 30. Basically how the vineyards, the fence, basically it's like the grass grow in the grass that are like, you got an old shed or something that you just ain't maintenance, you ain't taking no care of it, and the grass, it'll get so high around your old, even your yard. If you don't cut your yard, it's making a point. If you don't tend to your yard, it'll get up so big before you know it, and you ain't been tending to it. Then it's so big, and then you don't even want to deal with it. So, but basically, that's what the scripture was speaking on. Something like how you have to, it's your responsibility, and you could get so comfortable sleeping every day and just waking up and not doing nothing. Then, the year passed, another year, and then you see yourself where you ain't made no progress. So, but yeah, it's really no excuse. Even in the midst of some hard situations, let's just use the worst situation. Let's just say somebody was in when they get a reality check, they in a jail cell, and you feel like you want to make a change, you can. Because back to using the exercise analogy, it ain't really about that. It's about just the way your mind works. We're speaking on the scripture, how it's your responsibility. The more lazier you get, the more comfortable you'll get not doing nothing, which is laziness. The more complacency you get, you'd be more comfortable. It's gonna be harder to get out that situation, But you got to take the first step. So basically, like I was saying, like just an example. Like say, like if somebody was in a jail cell, like I'm using the worst case scenario. That's a bad situation. You find yourself waking up or in a jail cell, and you got to do something, make a change on your life. Like you might not. Like people look for that perfect situation before they do things. Because I used to think like that, and I kind of find out that it ain't so much as a perfect situation. It's more so the perfect time for you to get that word, or you hear that voice, that boom, and you just stop and you realize I'm finna do it right now. So yeah, so like I was saying, like say you in a cell, and a jail cell, and you realize you want to do something, and you could come up with all these excuses because you just got a cell, you just in the cell, ain't nothing in there. So, but what you can do, you can't wait for the perfect time for when you get out and then say you want to go to the gym or start whatever. But what you can do, when you get that thought, you can start right there, and that's what it'll take. You can start off exercise. You can do push-ups. God made it where we don't even have to have tools or weights or whatever, or say tools, equipment to really start getting in shape if you want to or whatever. And once again, like I say, it ain't really about exercise. I was out here exercising, and I thought about this after I spoke to my coworker. So yeah, so you can always jump down and do push-ups. You could do sit-ups. You could start. It just start with, you got to do something. You got to take action, which go back to the scripture. How the scriptures say, you saw people basically, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands, then poverty come on you like travelleth. Forgot how it goes, something like that. I don't got it in front of me. But basically, it's up to you to do that. You whenever you get that thought, or you get that, like I'm finna do something, it's good to just take action and do something right then and there. Even if it's, you want to start a little business, you want to start making videos, you want to start searching for jobs, or you want to start searching for people to work for you, or whatever. It's good to just take that action right then, because once you take that action, you can look back on yourself when you're in the bed that night or the next day and be like, I did something, I made some progress, and that'll influence you even more to go on to the next, to do the next thing the next day. And I learned that about myself, but I have noticed is that as soon as I put something off, I'm faced with that same situation. It's like, well, I gotta start somewhere, and before you know it, 6 months gone, a year gone, so that's why I make it my duty, because it's bigger than me, but I make it my duty is to start making progress. Like procrastination, I look at it as if it's a sin. I just can't participate in that. I gotta make something. So I'm here. I got energy, I got strength, and I ain't too old, so I gotta make every day work, See the hat to the back, I had my gloves, because like I say, I was doing some pull-ups. Like I say, we out of town, as you can see. This is actually a creek, it's very, very long up that road, and the same thing back this way, it's really pretty here in Louisiana, some alligators out here. But saying all that to say that I was here with some coworkers, and they just sit around really not doing nothing. And like I was talking to the one, and I guess they see me doing stuff all the time. But anyway, he came up on me, and he was just we was talking, and I was telling him how, basically how you could get it started. Like I could have laid down in the bed and just sit around not doing nothing on the clock, waiting to do work. but while we on the clock the whole time, I was like, nah, I'm finna exercise. You know, I'm gonna make something happen. So, and that's kind of my thing. Like as of lately, you know, every time I want to try to lay back down or just put something to the side, not look at that email or not read that email, or you know, I tell myself I'm gonna go on and do it. If I got the time, I'm gonna go on and do it. You know, and it just I gotta make progress every day, because you know, I've heard someone say something like, and it actually makes sense, about how when you got a list of stuff that's stacking up. Example, like when I had my own business, you know, and I kept pushing it to the side. I kept pushing all stuff to the side. I was getting emails, and I just didn't want to deal with them because I was just making money, and I was like, I deal with it, but it got so, it was like an elephant in the room that I didn't want to deal with. And I really didn't want to deal. I really didn't want to sit down, check these emails, send these emails. I really didn't want to do what I had to do. I was just doing the easy stuff, making the money, and I figured I'd deal with it later. But I had to deal with it, or it would deal with me, and that's pretty much what happened. So, but I was saying that to say how I heard a guy say a while back. He was saying how you could never really be comfortable, because it's like something always over your head about how you got a task you got to do. Meaning you could never like really feel free or be, because you know you got something you got to do, and it's just like clearing out your closet. You know, you got all this stuff out there, but you don't want to move these 2 or 3 things right here. You know you got to deal with them, but it's like you ignore them, like you tricking yourself into believing that everything is okay, and that's like a weight on you that you're just gonna have to address. Or like I say, it's gonna deal with you. But anyway, hope I ain't get too much off the topic. But Proverbs 24 verse 30. It's a lot more scriptures, but verse 30 through 34 basically speaks and tell you about how, you know, being lazy, you know, how it could bring you to poverty. All right.